All right. Here we go. This is Kate Stillman with YogaHealer.com, and I'm delighted to have Desiree Ramba of DesireeRamba.com here with me, and we're excited because we're offering this 4-week teleconference e-course. And one of the things that I have noticed as in preparing for this course and really thinking about what is really present for me in terms of the sort of cutting edge teachings. One of the things we talked about a little bit in the free call was this sense that, as we start taking yoga classes, that our subtle channels start to open, and often we don't shift our diet in accordance with supporting that opening, and it can create some confusion in the physical body channels and the subtle body channels and the mind, the emotions in relationship, etc. And so one of the things that I've been noticing in myself, almost as a way of like measuring, of like holding different bars for myself, is this experience of transparency in what is in Ayurveda called the Mahavahashrota. And we know Maha means like great, like it's the bomb. And Vaha is carrying, and Shrota is channel. So in the big channel, which is the digestive tract in Ayurveda, it goes from mouth, you swallow, stomach, small intestine, anus, colon, that this is the great channel. And what I'm noticing in my own food evolution is this experience that the more basically alive the food is, the more pranically filled the food is, the more clarity there is in my digestive tract, the more clarity there is in all those other sectors of my life. And I just wanted to talk to you and see if you notice the same, like almost like what you're putting in through the Mahavahashrota and how that translates into what your life is like, what you experience in your emotions and your physical body and your interpersonal relationships.
Yeah, it's sort of a catch-22 or a paradox sometimes, because when we get cranky or moody, we often reach for things that are comforting, which are not always healthy for us, and then we get worse. And so I'm offering my ideas on how I get myself back on track. I don't want anybody to think for a moment that I'm perfect all the time. Let's just say that right here. But I have found a way to get back on track really easily now that I'm super happy about. Getting clearing out that channel, like you said. But it's just, I find it so ironic, and I think people can relate to this, that you can get sucked into this cycle of reaching for things that you think are soothing, and they're actually closing down the channel.
What is that? Let's go into what that feels like, because I really sense this is going to be so helpful for people to know what it feels like to have clarity, and what I feel is like a really highly vibrational experience in my Mahavahashrota.
Sounds so sexy.
Doesn't that sound lovely? Versus the feeling of like coagulation, congestion, or even what I even feel is like a lack of consciousness. Like it's just unconsciousness, or a lack of being able to feel throughout this entire track, like just not really having dull sections, or having just disconnect of like I have no idea what it feels like in my intestines or my colon right now. And I'd like to hear what for you that sort of the differences between the clarity and vibrancy versus when it starts to feel less awake.
And this is why I am putting my cleanse. I'm giving people the cleanse I went on, because when you take it down to that level of only plants, then you're right, it's high prana. Super high prana that you're going to be getting. And when you get, the farther away you get from just plants, the harder it is to distill the prana out of the food. So it's like eating is yoga, eating is pranayama, eating is meditation. That's what we're teaching here. They're the same thing. What you eat is not any different from how you practice. So for people who love yoga, they love meditation, this is like the eating of yoga.
Yeah, it's really interesting to get that feeling in the body, and then that sense of like what I notice is when I'm, and it especially happens when we're really going to get into this in the Eat Green Challenge, of like all the social situations that arise, and travel situations, and all the things that make it harder to stay in this high prana inner body experience, right? And what I notice is like when I get sucked, when I get kind of like, I make a few bad choices, then all of a sudden that, if I just pause and notice what's happening in my emotional body, notice what's happening in terms of like actually how expansive my awareness is, if I notice that gets shut down. One of the things that I do right away, and I just wanted to share this with you, with all you watching, is that like one of the first things I do is I'm just like, okay, a day of green smoothies. I just go right back to fruit and vegetable smoothies, and I'll often have 3 to 5 bowel movements that day. That channel is now starting. It's just clearing. It's moving. I don't at all limit my quantity. I can have as much green smoothie as I want. And for me personally, because I'm the sort of like the country bumpkin here back in Idaho, is I actually go into the wild greens more than the kale in my garden. I'll actually get the bitterest of the bitters. I think I just invented a new word, bitterest. The most bitter greens, and which is interesting because that cold, they have the cold rasa, and it's like a shocking awakeness. But one thing I noticed when I was mountain biking this weekend is I was picking a lot of these bitter greens up high in the mountains here and just chewing on them, just getting them back in my taste buds, is how it just the bitters make the basically the Mahavaha Shrota starting in the mouth, make them spit out what we call ama in Ayurveda, or like that which blocks the flow of consciousness. And the tissue to literally just it spits out, and it makes you want to spit. And soon, like if you have any congestion or mucus, you'll actually spit out little ama chunks, and your digestive tract is literally, it's like waking up. It's getting this like, oh right, awake, alive, alert. And what that feels like, I sense like going through my whole digestive tract, is that over time I'm getting much more, it's totally wild, but aware and attuned to how all the different plants, right, are holding all these different levels of rasa, of all the different sweet, sour, salty, bitter, pungent, astringent, even within the family of greens. That there's so much awareness there of how these plants and the human physiology are totally networked to make us awake and alive.
And that's what we want to be. We want to be more awake, more alive, more energy. I just get so tickled at you, Kate, with the nettles and the thistles and the bitter greens that are growing out. Like Sunday night, I was flying home across the United States, and I bought 2 salads and some stir-fried vegetables at the airport in plastic boxes. And it was so fabulous to sit there and eat all these greens at the airport. And I will always offer the voice of the opposite end of the spectrum from nature. And that's all that there is available, and you get to go on a search and you get to find wherever you are. I don't want people to have excuses anymore why they're not eating prana-filled food.
Yeah, that's huge. And it's just that commitment, right? Like you're going through the airport and you're looking for that which has the most prana in the airport.
Exactly. It's a funny contrast. You're out in the woods and I'm in the airport, yet you can still do it. No excuses, people.
No excuses. No excuses. And it's almost like wherever you're at, and this is something that I'm really sensing into now, just as, I sense like who you and I work with a lot, because we work with people that are very into yoga. We work with people that have some experience with meditation, some experience with like really dropping into different levels of awareness, that in a way, if we all tap into that, like you and we're not trying to be perfect, that there's not this like end game of where this is going, but we actually feel into our spectrum. Like what if we even just take, if those who are listening, just sit right now and take in like what's going on in your Mahavaha Shrota, like what's going on in the main channel of your inner body. And what's interesting about this channel, right, is it parallels the sushumna, like crown to anus. It's right there. It parallels the subtle energy body. So it's like the physical rendition of the subtle energy body. And we just tap in, like how awake, alive, how like pure, if you will, or non-genetically modified, or non-irritated, or non-altered are those plants that are giving your physical body the nutrients, the enzymes, the energy. And what I think we can notice is that we all always have the opportunity to just simply feel and know exactly what's going on in our body, and know exactly like what's good for us and what's not good for us. Like, what is creating more consciousness, more expansive awareness, and what is actually like dulling us down.
This is the invitation. This is the invitation we're extending is, would you like to take steps in this direction? Not towards perfection or any outer form,
Yeah.
but towards this kind of communion with your life and your body and nature, and no matter what your circumstance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sweet. So that's it. We just wanted to talk a little bit about where we're going in the next month. We really hope you all come on with us, and yeah, thanks for taking the time, Des.
Thanks, Kate. Looking forward to it.